So guys, welcome to Revolution O'Clock, which is a new format on Revolution 935, and with Revolution 935 wants to have a more deep intimacy with artists, professionals, and most important people here around Miami, and not only. I'm gonna co-host this format with the one and only Claudia Pavel.
Hey! Hi, my fellow Italian, my fellow European. So, hi guys, I'm Claudia Pavel. I will be hosting this fabulous podcast with my friend Stefano said, Piazza. And the whole idea of the whole podcast came, we created it beginning with the love of music, because we not only want to dance, with our favorite artists, but we want to talk to them and find their deepest secrets and desires and find the most exciting news and gossips for you guys from our favorite artists. And plus, I think that the beauty of Miami, right, is how mixed we are. It's the mixed cultures, and we are a Romanian and an Italian, and many people come here from around the world, and here we will have amazing guests who will come and talk about their cultures and how we're creating new communities and how they bring their special traditions, here and create new music, new art, new food, and we just create new communities. So today, we wanted our guests to be our friends, to be locals, to be fabulous, international, famous artists and DJs. So, guys, today we have for you the international successful DJ Markus Schulz and his beautiful Romanian wife, Adina Butar, because, she's my fellow Romanian, and I really wanted them to be our guests today. So I'll make a little introduction for you guys. I know everybody knows everything about you, but I have to talk a little bit about you. So Markus Schulz is a German DJ and record producer based in Miami. He has his own weekly radio show titled Global DJ Broadcast that airs on digitally imported radio and other online stations. He's also the founder of the label Cold Harbor Recordings and Schulz Music Group, an artist management company that manages rising artists in the industry. In September 2012, Markus Schulz was crowned America's #1 DJ by DJ Times. And Adina Butar is a fabulous, beautiful, successful international singer, originally from Romania. She's married to Markus, and they have the most beautiful boy in the world called Liam. And hello, guys, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us. We're excited to be here.
Yeah.
I know, we're so happy. I know how crazy busy you are, guys. And you have to tell us, how do you make it? I feel like every time we're looking at your Instagrams, you're in totally different parts of the world.
Well, when you look at it from the outside, yeah, it looks crazy.
It is.
Yeah. But when you're on the inside of it, you just wake up every day and you're like, okay, today
I'm fabulous.
Today I go to the airport, I'm flying here. Or today I'm going to the studio, I'm doing this. So, when you're in it, it doesn't seem so crazy. It just seems like you're just every day doing something. But yeah, our families are always worried that we're just doing too much. But it feels like our pace, right?
Yeah. We just came from Asia, actually. It's been a while since we've been to Asia, for me especially, because, I think it's been a few years with the pandemic and everything. And that actually felt for me, it felt a little bit harder just because of jet lag, because it's totally upside down, right? Yeah. So there were two long flights going there, the 11-hour flight to Istanbul, another 11-hour flight to Asia. And it was kind of crazy because we always kind of find a way to get together. He left 1 week before for his European shows, and then we met in Istanbul airport and we flew together with the same plane. So we're trying to make the schedule somehow to fly the same, plane or meet in a spot where
Do you also find some free time for the two of you?
Oh, yeah. I
Trying.
mean,
Yes.
yes, of course. And, you know, the thing is, since we're both in the same industry, you know, even when we're working, we're together.
Yeah.
And you know, with Liam now, our little baby boy, it's kind of, you know, we focus a lot more on him than, you know, before it was just always, you know, shows, airplanes, airports, and studio. And now it's like, you know, together raising Liam.
So do you often take her out for a date during your tour?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
For
yeah,
real?
Absolutely.
We have to, right? We have to find.
You know, listen, we stay at beautiful hotels all over the world. They always have great restaurants. And we love going to different countries and experiencing their foods. I love wine, so we love to go out and experience, you know, different wines and stuff. So yeah, we actually have a great romantic life when we're on tour.
Yeah.
That is so beautiful. I mean, seriously, you guys have the most perfect, fabulous, glamorous life. But please give us a little bit, like, tell us that you guys are human. Like, like,
Of course,
like, are
of
we
course.
really? Like,
Listen.
you have to tell us the dirty little. Like, how do you guys like something behind the glamour? Please, I know. I mean,
Well,
we
I
already
mean-
know how beautiful and fabulous you guys are. But sometimes the little baby's tired.
No, it's definitely challenging, but I think at the end of the day, you have to respect each other. You have to, you know, respect the fact that, like, when we were in Asia, Adina was sleeping all day and awake all night.
There you go.
And, but, you know, it's like, okay, I let her, you know, let her sleep. And I think it's, you know, respect, compassion, and understanding. Like, you know, it's not easy.
How do you deal with your jet lag?
You don't. You just have
go,
to power
right?
through. There's no, you know, people ask me all the time, like, you know, how do you get over the jet lag? How do you deal with it? It's like, you don't. You just power through. You know, when you're up on stage and you're like completely tired, you know that you tell yourself, well, I'm only up here for another hour, another 2 hours, and then I'm going to be in my hotel room. I'll be able to sleep. So you kind of like...
The good thing I feel about, like, one good thing about jet lag is just that sometimes it falls, like the shows at night, right? Like if you go to a different time zone, it just falls when it's daytime here. So then it's like easier to do the shows then. But then it's harder to sleep when you get back to the hotel because you're in the, you know.
So you guys are perfect. The kid is the most beautiful, and he's so good, right? You said, like, he
He's an angel.
travels.
He really is an angel.
With
I
you
feel
guys,
he
and
knew
he
what he's signing
sleeps,
up
and
for. I almost feel like he knew what he's signing up for. You know how we believe that
100%.
babies choose their parents before they are born. So he was like, okay, I think Markus and Adina are pretty cool. I'm gonna travel as well. I'm gonna be like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
Like he was born in.
And I'm even cooler, so, right?
Yeah, he's been to Europe twice already. He's been to California a few times. You know, Hawaii he's been.
Oh, he's a little
So,
globe
yeah,
trotter.
He's a frequent flyer.
Yeah.
Not yet.
And, you know, we live here in
Has
Miami.
his own
where,
points.
Yeah, where we live in Miami here, you know, you see the airplanes coming in all the time. So we're always like, oh, look, airplane, he's, you know, coming home, or the airplane is going bye-bye, you know? And so he's like, airplanes and airports are very much part of his life. And
Yeah.
it's so natural for him
It's
already.
like, let's go.
Yeah.
He knows that we go to work and we take an airplane, and
Yeah.
he's like, oh, mama, dada, airplane.
Mama, dada, money.
Like, okay, no, of course my parents help a lot. So when we do have to travel together, we don't always take him with us because we'll obviously think about him being a baby and jet lag. So my parents, like, you know, stay with him. And
I think
help
it's
a lot.
really helps a lot.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so one of the things that I've lived here in the USA for, you know, most of my life. And the big difference, one of the big differences between USA culture and European culture is in the European culture, the grandparents take a large role in helping raise the child. In the USA, not so much, right?
No.
But so we're very lucky that her mom and dad, that Liam just loves her mom and dad.
I'm Italian. I grew up with my grandparents.
So
They
it
raised
really
me.
helps that we're able to just go for the weekend. Like tomorrow we fly to Amsterdam, and then Adina comes home. I continue on, but her parents are here in Miami, and they're gonna take care of him. And it's just we're very lucky that her parents, take such good care.
Support you
Love.
guys on this.
Yeah, they're encouraging us, you know, and it's really beautiful when you have family that is proud and encourage you and not try to hold you back.
Path. Yeah.
I know, talking about cultures and how different, we are, like the American culture. So you were born in Germany?
Yeah. I moved to the U.S. when I was 13. So like first, my first language is German. I grew up, actually, so my stepfather, he was American. So I started going to American school in Germany, and that's kind of how I learned about the American culture. And then when I came over here, it was like, bam, like, okay, I'm in the USA now. And it was really, really rough, really hard for me. First I moved to the USA, I lived in New York City, or just outside of New York City, just outside of the Bronx. And I think that's where my love of music.
So you moved your first steps in the US, right?
Yeah. And I didn't really, didn't know anybody, didn't know the culture, and I listened to the radio. That was my thing. I just laid there, and back in those days, New York City had all the best shows and everything.
So you can definitely tell me how radio business changed from that stage of your career till now.
Well, first of all, not to get too deep into radio, but back then, there wasn't as many television stations. So you either were like anybody who wanted to start in radio, even if you're, lots of celebrities, they started on radio back in the day because, there weren't so many TV stations. I know I'm dating myself here, but that's the idea. So there was so much talent, so many amazing DJs, so many amazing personalities that were on the radio, and they made you just listen to the radio, and it was like, what I love about radio is the theater of the mind. In other words, you hear what people are saying, and you imagine what they're saying, and it just really, like, everybody's got their own picture of what somebody's talking about on the radio in their head. And
it's like reading a book.
Yeah.
You can read the same words.
Theater of the mind.
And you can imagine a completely different setting in your mind.
Yeah. The imaginary linguistic.
I always stuck with radio and didn't really get into television because I love the theater of the mind. I just love to talk about things and what. So
when did you really start? How did it start? Everything, like from the love of radio.
Yeah. Okay. So I used to be a breakdancer.
Ooh.
Right?
I didn't know it.
I used to be a breakdancer, and then I used to make the mixtapes for my breakdance crew, so for all the competitions and everything. And then one time we decided, hey, we're going to make our own party, and we all took turns. We're all going to take turns DJing. I was practicing, scratching, all that stuff, right? And then when the night of the show came, there was so many people, unexpected. We were expecting maybe 25, 50 people, and it was like hundreds of people. Like, I don't, And so all my friends got cold feet, and I said, listen, you guys just go relax. I'll start, and when you feel comfortable, you come. And
how old were you then?
I was maybe 16, 17, and I wound up DJing the whole night. But I remember that feeling like it was yesterday. I remember I stood there, and as I put the vinyl on, I was just thinking to myself, this feels right. Like, this feels like this. It was like I found it. I found my path. It was such a defining moment.
Do you still feel emotional performing?
Yeah, I honestly, this is what I was put on earth for. Like, I know that. My father, he was a musician.
But you should say the story. If you want secrets, you should say how you found out, for example. Like with your biological father that you never actually knew.
Yeah, I never knew my biological father until, maybe 10, 15 years ago.
And
he messaged me.
He actually never knew that he was a musician before.
Never knew.
And just say that story. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, so, I mean, I didn't know he was a musician. He messaged me hey, hi, I'm your father. And I'm like, whoa, okay. And by the way, you have 2 brothers and a sister. And it was
crazy because, when he told me the story, it was something like, he didn't keep in touch with him. Because of the times. And then he had a stepfather that raised him, which was in military. Yeah. And he got
35 years in the U.S. Army, my stepfather. Very strict, very disciplined.
Yeah, and then he was one time just because, you know, he found him on the internet, kind of like, okay, like, you know, like, that's the story, right?
Oh,
you're doing a great job.
My son is famous.
He's famous. I was thinking maybe, who knows, maybe you would never have met him, like, in a way, because he literally just emailed him one day. He's like, hey, I just, you know, found you on internet and I'm your father.
So do you think that he has reached to him due to his high visibility on the
I
internet?
honestly think so, yeah.
Because he saw on my Wikipedia page, he said, he saw, born in Eschwege. That's my son.
Okay, and then, I mean, the next
He felt it,
and then
right?
when you met him first
Yeah, the first time I was. So we made plans where, you know, the next time I was in Germany, that we were going to go meet and have coffee. And I remember the first time I was like, wow, this is my father, right? And we were walking to the table, and one of the seats was with the back to the wall, you know, like this. And we both went for the same seat. And I'm like, I can't sit with my back to the door, you know? And he said, me neither.
Wow.
And I'm like, whoa, like right instantly. The moment I met him, we were both going for the same chair in the coffee shop.
The DNA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then he told me his story, and he was a drummer in a band. And then afterwards, he became a DJ.
Which is crazy, right?
So imagine, like, I never knew my father.
And you took exactly the same path. Yeah.
You know, and the one thing is I used to be on stage in front of, you know, 20, 30,000 people. And I was always insecure because I just felt like, well, first of all, let me back up. I was saying how my stepfather was military, raised me very disciplined. So I have the DNA from a creative DNA from my father. And I was raised with discipline, right? Hardworking, discipline. So I remember being on stage and I was always insecure because I always felt like the only reason I'm up here on stage, it's not because I'm talented, it's because I worked hard. And when you're on stage in front of 20, 30,000 people more, that it messes with you. You get the, what is it called?
Well, why
it's
would
called
you believe
impostor complex.
Yeah.
You know?
We all have it.
Well, I didn't know, you know. And then when after I met my father, it's like I realized like I belong here on stage. This is where I'm supposed to be here. It's not because I worked harder or, you know, whatever.
It's meant to be.
It's meant to be. And so now when I'm on stage, there's a piece, you know, I still get nervous, obviously, but there's a piece like this is my
place. Yes, it's like a puzzle that you put and you know where you are.
Yeah.
But I'm so curious. What made you think though that you just worked hard and you were not talented? Like what gave you that?
I mean, I think as an artist, we're all insecure.
Yeah.
So even, you know, when I would play, you know, I would just think it's not just these tracks that I'm playing. You know, my tracks are not good enough. You know?
Perfectionist.
Yeah.
So
True artist, like a true artist doesn't think, you know, that they're good enough or that they belong.
The best of them think that.
Yeah.
So, how much does this much success in your life impact your mental health? So you feel stressed, you feel nervous, you feel anxious. You
know what? It's like you work your whole life to get somewhere, and you become successful. And at that point, you realize like there's no place to go but down.
Or the true success is a peace of mind in the end, if you think about it.
Yeah. But then your whole focus is staying, you know, and it's maintaining, staying there.
That's true.
And even though I'm, you know, it's because
maybe becoming successful sometimes it can be like luck, right? Like I don't know, you just make a hit or a song that is becoming successful, but then after, like you just have to work hard to maintain the success, right?
Yeah, then that's the hard part. You see so many people, so many DJs come, they have a hit, and you see them around for a couple of years, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
So it's like for me, just it became the getting there. It was hard, but the staying there is the part that's the most stressful.
And how does it pressure feel? Oh, like is it pressure?
Yes, that's where
to be number one, like you have to stay there.
Yeah. Especially because there's always new people coming. You know.
And how did you have to measure yourself and to change as a human being and as an artist in order to keep being in that spot for a long time?
Well, I don't think it's change. I think it's evolve. There's a big difference between changing and evolving, right?
I agree.
It's like changing is like 90 degree. Like,
No.
I'm playing this kind of music, and now I'm going to play this kind of music. It's like, no, but if you evolve, if you go back over the course of, let's say, 10 years, and you say, oh, this is what I sounded like 10 years ago, you hear the change. But during that, it's an evolution. And I think as an artist, you evolve. And that's what I've always done. I know a lot of my colleagues have changed.
But you didn't change your music genre.
I never changed my music genre. It just evolved.
Yeah.
So
I see many trance musicians, for example, these days radically changing their music.
Yeah.
And playing completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean, if they understand it, okay. But for me, I'm just organic. Like all of the music that I make, all of the music that it literally comes from all my life experiences, like I've always been different than the other trance guys, where I always felt uncomfortable in the big long breakdowns with the love songs and you know what I mean, and the hearts and all that. I've always been into the groove.
Yeah.
I love the emotional melodies, but I gotta have the beat. I gotta feel the beat.
Yeah.
I think that's because I was a dancer when I was young.
The
right?
beat is the most important.
Right. You can't really, dance and, get it on to, a breakdown.
Of course.
I'm really curious as a DJ, do you play, so I get you play, of course, your music, but then do you feel the audience, like, does it matter? Or do you play what you like? Or do you play what you like most, or do you care like how the audience feels? Do you go the vibe and you just play for them also, like you?
And I have a second question related to this.
Like I stay within my lane, but within that lane, I'm very eclectic. So in other words, last week I played a 12-hour set at Stereo Montreal, which is a techno club. Like only techno DJs play there. But I'm the only trance DJ that plays at Stereo. Otherwise, it's all Danny Tenaglia and Dubfire and Carl Cox. And, I'm the only trance. But that's because it's like I have that foundation, right? At the same time, in a couple of weeks, I'm playing at Dare here in Fort Lauderdale. I can't play the same,
Of course.
right? But the vibe is the same. And the big thing for me, and this is kind of where Adina comes in too, like I'll play a lot more vocals at some shows. And for me, the vocals are very important because they're like a more direct message. Like when Adina's writing these songs, when we're writing them, we're always like, what message do we want to be very clear to the audience? So that's a big difference because when I do Stereo Montreal, it's just a mood. I'm setting a vibe, a mood, not so many vocals. And then when I play at a place like Dare, it's like, Adina's important because, we're working on
Adina is always important.
Yeah. Yes, correct.
I was just thinking about you're right. Like that. Like, let's just take an example. Last weekend we had 1-hour show for a festival in Vietnam, right?
Yeah.
Where they booked Markus, Emma Hewitt, and me, and we had all three in the 1 hour of his set. Basically, I was singing 3 songs, Emma was singing 4 songs. And then he's like, what am I going to play? Because I'm just going to play your songs. What am I going to play? He said,
No, but it actually turned out really good just to have Adina and Emma in my show, Emma Hewitt.
Yes.
In the show because it's like everything. It was action,
Yeah, it was great. And
Emma does the most important collaboration in trance music from long time.
I know, it's
She's
amazing.
a legend.
Yeah.
And she lives here in Miami too.
Oh, I didn't know it.
yeah, definitely. You can have her next guest.
Why not?
No problem.
Why not?
We're best friends too, so.
Nice.
Yeah, but that was Saturday, and then next morning at 4 a.m. he went to the airport to fly. It was the only flight out that he can take to get in Canada, Montreal, which was his stereo show, right? Stereo 12 hours underground show. It was such a big difference and
huge difference
to go from a
1 hour
a festival show in Vietnam, playing with Alan Walker and having Adina and Emma in my show to going to Stereo Montreal and playing from midnight until noon.
Yeah.
Which is a completely different
Completely
audience
different.
indeed, of course.
But you know what? I always tell Adina, I said, I need those kind of nights for my soul.
Right?
When I'm all summer long playing festivals, 1 hour sets, it's like I need my stereo.
So you think adapting basically is the secret of your long career? Like,
Oh, 100%. 100%. Being able to,
Know what to play and what play.
you just have a sense. You know, it's like a chef, right? You give the same ingredients, tomatoes and basil and this and that. You know what I mean? You give all this stuff to like a bunch of chefs, and they're all gonna. You know what I mean? Some chefs are just gonna make something that's special out of it, and I feel that way about the music. It's just like.
But I think that your music genre helps you to be more versatile, more than other music genres, because
It's all based on the melodies.
I interviewed so many big room DJs, for example. People actually expect those DJs to play the same hits, the same releases, and they tour the world, and they get tired of, performing all over the same.
Yeah.
I'm not telling the same set, but at least the same.
100% right, and that's why it happens as well to me, right? But that's why these being able to play. Okay, so first of all, when I started my career, I started as a resident DJ. Then I had the hit records, and then all of a sudden I'm touring the world based on these hit records. But I was a resident DJ first, so for me, I tour the world. I still tour the world, playing my hits and all that. But when I do a set at like Stereo in Montreal, or Ministry of Sound in London, or Avalon in Los Angeles, it takes me back to my roots of being a resident DJ.
Absolutely.
how important was that residency? Like, because you basically learned everything about the people, right?
Yep, that's where you learned how to direct a room, how to set the vibe in a room, when I first moved here to Miami, I was a resident DJ at Space, and I was opening for Tiesto. I was opening for Armin and Ferry and, Paul Oakenfold, and I even opened for John Digweed and, like that. So it was like setting the mood, at that point, you had to set the mood. You had to
And you have a big responsibility.
There's an art in being a resident DJ, especially the opening, because you can't pop the champagne too early. Like, you have to leave it. You can't. People need to be excited, but you can only take it a certain.
You have
point.
to pick the right tracks in order to create the climax, right?
Nowadays, it's like the opening
It's the
DJ.
hardest
It's like they're auditioning for Ultra Main Stage. It's like, what are you doing? The doors are not even open yet, and they're playing like Martin Garrix's Animals or you know what I mean? It's like the art of setting up a room, because listen, when I was Space, right?
Yeah.
And I remember Louis. I remember Louis. He used to be Louis Puig used to be the owner of Space. He used to come up to me. He goes, it's great that the people are really dancing hard and having a great time at 4:00 in the morning, but if they dance too hard, they're not going to stay until noon.
So they wouldn't drink much.
You have to, that's the idea. It's like, well, we want people here at noon.
Yeah.
We want
to keep
everybody like fresh and everything. So there's a whole like art to
business also
to DJing, but there's a whole art to it.
But to keep the people,
to keep the people.
Always, even me, after so many years, because we're together for so many years, I've been hearing a lot of 99% of his sets every single time. And even now, I'm blown away by like we had a show in Miami this weekend, and I'm not going to say the name or whatever, but the idea is that he was supposed to play till 4 a.m. from 1 to 4, and I don't know how we got to 6:30, and I'm like, how did you play 2 hours and a half more? And nobody actually really noticed it. We just looked at the clock at 6:30 a.m. And, the music started from 3 till 6:30. It was just like one after another, like such an amazing vibe and like groove and everything. And I was like thinking to myself that, wow, like even after all this year, he's still like impressing me with like his, because it's always
that is
different.
so beautiful.
It's always different. It's always like, it's like, it's not like the same thing, It's like always like you don't know what to expect. It's just like, okay.
It's something very extraordinary for a wife that follows you on tour constantly to be, well surprised and,
Well, now
as an artist, I would have been very much,
I remember the first time Adina came to Stereo, it was like 10 o'clock in the morning. Right, 10 o'clock in the morning, and she walks up to me and,
So started at 12 and at 10.
Yeah, I started at 12, so I've been DJing for 10 hours.
Yeah.
And she walks up to me and she's like, so what's the plan? And I'm like,
That's loyalty.
the plan is sit down because I'm not stopping anytime soon. It's still got at least 2-3 hours more to go.
No, but I could feel so much admiration in the way she said it. I was so blown away. After so many years.
It was actually very cute to see.
Yeah, very,
also.
very cute.